Thank you, Mauricio, for your message. As I each week and as I read these portions, they're absolutely they're so simple, and yet they're so hard to do. Learning how to live in a material body with a spiritual body within us is not an easy thing. I read the series The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Narnia series, and I remember there was one part where Lucy was on the top of a mountain, and she was speaking to Aslan, and she didn't want to go back down because she says it was so dense, it was so heavy. And up on the mountain there with him, she felt very light. And this is our journey, is to allow God's light to lighten our path each and every day, no matter what we're doing. This walk that we have with God is not an easy one, especially when we're believers, because He's constantly testing us, and sometimes it feels it's just too much, and we're ready to give up. But we have to remember to just keep going, that God is always with us.
It's interesting, this idea of the material and the spiritual. As you say, Peggy, it's such a hard way to live, because so many religions, for example, really don't understand this, and they separate the spiritual from our body. And God gave us a body, and He said, it's a blessing. And He gave us the ego. And there's so many religions that try and divorce themselves, denied it anything with the ego. So they end up being self-righteous. They end up doing damage, because God says, don't attribute to our ego what should be attributed to God. But that doesn't mean we don't have an ego. And you really, it's hard to just live and live with the two things, like our bodies and our spirit, and to live a righteous life. I remember one pastor who I knew, and I know he loved God, but I remember he had a son who always longed, to be praised by his parents. And his father wouldn't, because that's pride and it's the ego. And it's such a wrong, that's so wrong. To praise your son or your daughter is not, blowing up their ego without, it's a fine line, but that's not what it is. God gave us an ego. Anyway, that was really interesting, about the, how the lower part of us, the feet, is how we walk with God. But anyway, we have to always just talk to God, and it's a hard journey. There's no question about that. It's really a hard journey. And just one more thing. Sometimes the simple things, like, most of this portion was basically, it sounds really simple, keep these commandments and do these things. And it was so simple and so beautiful. And yet, we try and complicate it, which was just totally do. And I just remember meeting this man, who was trying so hard to be a righteous person that he became not even a real person. It's not to be like that. It shouldn't be. We're human. We are human. We're not above humans. We're human. And it was so, I know it's just really, really hard just to live and walk with God. It's very hard.
I know in the Eastern, like I have a lot of friends, Jews are very attracted to the Eastern religions, to Hinduism, to some of these religions, because it's like they follow the mystics, and the idea is, like you said, Miriam, to destroy the self, to not allow the ego to have any part of us, that we have to rise above the ego and to just be all spiritual. And like it, sadly enough, I know somebody who looks like death. They're living within, this whole Eastern way of thinking, and they're constantly destroying the ego to the point that they look like they're dying. They look 20 years older than they are. They're afraid to put anything in their body that's going to hurt them in any way. And you're not allowed to look at the ego. Like, that must be destroyed. And you escape anything that has any challenges in life. You just run away from family, you run away from problems, you go into the ashrams, you live in, completely away. And it's such a lie. They make life an illusion. They make life as not real.
In the end, you're being more ego bound. In the denial of the ego, you're attributing everything righteous to yourself. It's so ego without, it defeats its own purpose.
And very judgmental, because you feel more holy than anybody else.
Yeah.
The ego is necessary, honestly, because if you don't have any ego, then you will have a problem, because the ego is part of you. Okay, so it's important to have a consciousness about who we are. The point is that there is a border between a healthy ego with destroy, I don't know how to say that, but with a not good ego. I mean, in the purpose of the Torah is to bring us back to the balance. Okay, so it's not about destroying our ego. It's about that we need to like this portion of Ekev to be on the ground, but at the same time connected with heaven, with air, with breathing. So that's and it's a challenge. It's a daily challenge. I mean, for example, it's easy to become. Gal can use the word Yeshurun, for example, in a very good way. I mean, it's not negative, okay? But also it could be you believe you are good, so great than anybody else. That is, it could be also in a negative way. So the point is where we are, and we need to check our daily duties. By the way, also I love this verse. Honestly, I never realized that existed these two verses in Psalms 119. Okay, because it is like the writer is recognizing that at the end the problems he suffered were for his gone for his own good. So in I don't know when that happens, when something bad happens to us, but but that is the trust about, okay, God, I cannot understand, I don't need to understand, but I know I am in your hands, and if I am in your hands, then I will be good.
Yeah.
Without the ego, we wouldn't even have the, let's say, opportunity to see how God is helping us. Like when we're so ego bound, we attribute without realizing it things to, oh, I'm doing this right, I'm following this, I'm a good person, and this, but it doesn't give you a chance to really see where God is really working with us, because he has given us an ego, and he does, but he does work with us even when we don't for so long, I always struggle, like, where is God? Where is God? But with, in that struggle, you do go to another walk with you. Your walk is strengthened. And without the ego, you don't even have, I remember somebody talking about the ego like a flashlight. The light is where the beam is the ego. It's not good or bad, but it does lead your path. But God is helping us to lead a life with Him, and it allows us to walk in partnership with God, to have an ego.
Exactly. When I look at all the things that are going on in the world right now, the messes that the world has got itself into, and how people are so angry with God. They don't want to have anything to do with Him. How could God let this happen? It came up a couple of times in a conversation this week. If God is real, how did He allow the Holocaust? How did He allow all these families, all these people to lose their families? Where was He? That's always their question. And that's a very difficult question to answer to someone who doesn't have a concept of God. Because without God, anything goes. And the root of the problems of what's happening right now is really basically we've shut down the whole concept that God exists, and that we are now the gods of this universe. And what it was amazing me also as I read this portion, how often he refers to Egypt, how often he goes back to that experience that we had, and how, again, I keep saying that is a picture for us to keep looking at, to know where we're going. We can see where we were, and it's a picture all through our history. Even I recently received an email about this new monkeypox, and it looked like one of the plagues from Egypt. When you see pictures of the boils, it was almost identical. I said, and people, can't they see what's going on? And no. Unless God opens the eyes of people, how are they going to see all this? It's like sometimes I want to shake people to open their eyes, but we can't do it. God is going to have to do it Himself, and we're going to see more and more events going on in this world. There are good things happening at the same time, but I had a conversation with somebody about when the United States, they overturned Roe versus Wade. To me, that was very exciting. You know what that is, Mauricio? Roe versus Wade? Everybody, Roe versus Wade was the right to freedom of choice for abortion. And in the United States, that's been overturned. And in some places, they've now said abortion is illegal again. Illegal. And I spoke to a young woman who's a believer, and she was so upset that abortion is illegal. And she says, well, now people are going to have to go back to the back alley abortions. I said, well, now we need to teach young men and women, young people, not to have sex before marriage. Yeah, but they say, well, what about being raped? Well, how many people really are raped? Of all the 51 million abortions every year, how many of those are a rape? And then what did that child do? So it's like even believers are being led astray today to think that the majority is right. So we have a huge job in our lives, really, each and every day, with those people who God has put in our path, to, no matter what what the majority says, we need to speak the truth. And the truth is simple, even if it's not easy. And that's our job. That's our role in this world today. And each of us have experiences that we can share with each other about that, which are wonderful and help build us up, which is part of why we meet here today to talk about some of these things. The Shabbat is a day of restoring our souls so that we can, building up our our reinforcement so that we know that we're not alone, that we're not crazy, that what we're believing in is true. Because if we were the only ones who believed it, you can say, forget it.
Even that, how many
Yeah.
times have I thought, what's going on? What is all this? Is this a Michigas, or it's true, or it's you
I
know, even without the ego, you don't have the chance to even wrestle with God. Like Yaakov, the wrestling with God is like, or anger with God. God does not, it's not a terrible thing to be angry with God. It's terrible when it leads to unrighteous behavior. I'm not talking about people who just say blankly, I don't want anything to do with God. But I mean, C.S. Lewis, after he lost his wife, she was very young when she died. I think she was, I don't know, 44 or 45. Anyway, for 3 years, he said he couldn't even look, so to speak, to God. He was so angry. He didn't feel God's presence. He wrote a book about it. And through it all, one day it wasn't that suddenly he was more righteous and God came to him. He just God's presence was always there. And one day he was restored. So I'm saying all these things are part of being human. Like through this thing that I've been going through, how many times have I thought, what all is all of this? Where is God? Some nights I was so angry I had to get up and smash a pillow. I can't tell you. I know that's my temperament also, but it was really, really intense. And Baruch Hashem, I'm coming through this, but the struggles are real, and we can't hammer them down by pretending that we're righteous. What is righteousness? Let's just do the best we can and ask God for help and
Yes.
ask our friends to help us be with.
Yes. Yes, Karen.
I just want to, I don't believe in coincidence. And this whole message, I was sitting over by the monarch caterpillar that we picked up, and it's becoming a chrysalis just as this whole morning is happening. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're speaking of spiritual body and physical body. And then I was speaking to the kids about how we can't really explain this. This is an ugly little caterpillar that doesn't lose its skin just like a snake and have the same skin. It goes from an ugly caterpillar that's yellow and black and green and into an orange, beautiful flying caterpillar. And when it's losing its skin, it loses its entire body, the entire feet, the face falls on the ground. Like everything
Amazing.
falls to the bottom. And I don't know, it gets me in tears. I don't know, because I was just listening to this, and every time I told Angel, I said, you watch, they're going to speak about spiritual and body, because this is not, and that's all you guys are saying. And it just gets to me. I don't know what more to take from that, except that it's so beautiful and so well timed that I just sat there thinking God, and I'm recording it so I can fast forward it later for school videos, but I'll send it because it's just so beautiful.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah.
I also would like to add something. While I was writing this message, I remember about to have a good memory, to remember how God has been good, and this is a very good exercise for all of us. And sometimes we try to see only negatives or amazing things, but it's good to memorize from where that God took us and now where we are. And while I was writing, I don't know why, but it came to my mind one Shabbat that Angel uh, shared with us his experience when he went to Canada, and how God picked him up and helped him, and how it's now good. And it's good to share these experiences to other people, because you don't know exactly at what moment this happen again, or you are in the same situation, and then you remember, but yeah, my God is the same God that helped Angel in this case, right? So why he cannot help me right now? So it's really good to memorize as a community, as personal, uh, and not only remember the bad things that we used to live.
Exactly, which is why he keeps telling us, remember about Egypt. We all have our own Egypt. We all have these experiences. When we began the service this morning, I had mentioned about the Mishaberach. And the Mishaberach, I remember when Rabbi Percy went away to California to speak in a conference there. He came back with a CD and a book of music from Debbie Friedman. And he gave it to me, and I listened to it, and I thought it was okay, and I threw it in a drawer. And 2 years later, I was looking for new music to sing to the elderly, and I found that CD, and I started to play it, and 4 songs in that CD grabbed me. Like I just had to learn them. And so I went through the process, typing them out, learning the chords, learning the songs. As soon as I finished learning the songs, the rabbi at the hospital where I sang at Maimonides came up to me and he said, I have this book that I used to do with another rabbi here. It's a healing service. And I have these. Can you go through the book and tell me if you know the songs? Do you know that those 4 songs were in that book? And this has happened over and over and over in my life. If like in the same way, Angel, when you came to Canada, you had those experiences. When I came back to Montreal, to Canada, to Montreal, after my time in the whole New Age, if I tell you all the experiences that I went through for God to rebuild my life, first of all, you would not recognize me then as I am now. The things that I had been through have shaped who I am and the fact that I'm able to do what I'm doing now. There's no way I could have done it. So, it's when you're going through things that are so difficult, just remember there's a reason God is allowing me to go through this, and one day I'll understand it better. And even if I never perfectly understand it, in the Olam Haba we'll understand everything. Right now, we don't. Even trying to understand why the rabbi was all of a sudden taken away from us. I had my car fixed this week, and I was right next to the cemetery where he is, and I had some time, so I walked over to his stone. I put a couple of stones on his grave and just talked to him, and and then I walked to the next cemetery. There's one Christian cemetery, one Jewish cemetery. So I went and I was visiting my relatives, the ones who were buried there. And it's funny, they're gone, but yet they're not gone, because every part of them that was with us, all the teaching, everything that we learned from them is still with us. And they're just on the other side of the veil, and we just can't see them. I remember before I came to really understand God the way I know him now, I used to look up and say, I just want to see beyond the veil to know what the truth is. And then all of a sudden God lifted the veil from my eyes because I had wanted to know it so badly. And
With the butterfly thing, I was explaining to the kids that I can't explain it, and how so much of our life can't explain. I can't explain how it's going to be a completely transformed um, creature, and then it's going to turn green, and then these gold spots are going to come all over it, and then just before it becomes a caterpillar, a butterfly, it goes translucent, like completely clear, and you see it inside, and then it flies away. And I was explaining that's to me, that's as close to explaining heaven as I can do, because I can't explain everything, but we know and we can see, and we have these promises, and we can see it, but we can't explain it all, and we can't put it into our little mental human boxes.
right, yeah.
Can I say something? Well, thank you, Mauricio, for your message.
Beautiful.
It's concerning this transformation, that we are all under. But we need to understand the basis. Okay, how who truly we are, what was the purpose of the Creator making us, and if we understand these basic concepts, we will understand the purpose of all our lives that we go through, that we experience in this life, in this moment. I wrote something when Mauricio was speaking, and I wanted just to share it with you as I see it, how the Creator has revealed it to me through the little experience that I have, and through the teachings that I perceive in His Spirit. I perceive in that when I listen, or I hear, or it resonates with with Him, and I feel, I don't know how to explain it. You feel that it's right, it's true, and when Yeshua said, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." This is that feeling, that understanding that I don't know, but this is it is. It's this, it's this is how it is. Okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
this is my opinion to me, and I hope that you get it, because I try to write it and in order that you can understand, even though I wrote it in English. Okay, so the Creator composed His divine creation in spirit and matter composition, allowing us under the free will choice to discover how His creation works, who and what is our role in His creation, and to discover the greatest power of all energy, an organized state of purity, transparency, selfless or unselfish. And the Creator minded of creating the development of this energy, spirit, light, we can call it love, was in very was in a very limited and uninformed and unaware state and matter, which is our bodies, so that we follow a process of genuine learning and grow to reach a pure and true transformation to a higher levels of consciousness, understanding of knowledge and spirituality. Bring us back closer to our Creator, and understanding, and walking with Him, which means be part of Him, be one with Him. And now religion won't teach us this, but only will teach us to be submitted under this religious system that doesn't allow us to reach this transformation back to the Creator's first intention for us, humanity.
I'm going to call you Angel Cervantes.
I wish.
What a philosopher. You're a real philosopher.
It's just, if you think about it
That's
now,
beautiful.
it's like, look, this is the Creator who decides to put the greatest like a spirit of love into a matter, and who doesn't know anything. We grow, we come to this world, we know our parents, we know, but we don't know anything about life. We don't know anything, and we're learning from our parents. But remember that the thing is that we were all created equal. It will be unjust if you are, if you are born with a different DNA. You have like all these families that they consider themselves superior than others, and because they have different DNAs, and they have this blue royal or bloodlines or whatever they call it. But it's not, the main thing is that the spirit of our Creator is in us. That is the most greatest thing. Once that we reconnect with that, and we start learning, and we start establishing this relationship, this is what Yeshua was teaching.
Exactly. But because otherwise we may as well be a kidney bean. We have the same DNA as a
It's
kidney
true.
bean.
Now, the problem is that we have been deprived of knowledge. Also, I like to say light, but the purpose of light is understanding of knowledge of the things in creation. We have been undermined we have been put it down so we don't reach these levels.
Right.
Now, religion right now, religions, they are in charge of that. But thank God that as he promised that in the end of times that we are right now, I believe that the creator has moved forward and has come from his higher places down among us, as he did with Yeshua,
Yeah.
in he was among and walked among us, to reveal himself through those who are awakening for this specific time, in this specific moment, in this specific point in the galaxy, a specific planet, in order to change and restore his entire creation.
Exactly.
Wonderful. This is the most, we are the most blessed men right now that we're able to see. For those that can see, and the ones that are. That
That-
we are not anymore in front of this veil, that the Creator has opened the veil,
Amen.
and that the Yeshua has taught us about that.
Yes.
But because of the systematic religion in that time,
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of him, and God, so that is not all in this body, that is not all in this life, in this matter, because the spirit that creator made us in us is eternal, it lives forever. Okay.
That's beautiful, Angel.
Yeah.
It's true. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Yes, Mauricio.
It came to my mind that the I don't know. Remember that when Hubble appears, that the telescope, it was something really amazing. And this year, the NASA and some other countries uh, eh, sent to the space a new telescope. I can't remember right now the name. But now they can see better how the universe is compound. And you know that the point is that all that they are looking right now always have been there. It's just that now they have a better refraction or better possibilities to see better, and probably in 100 years they will find another things that always have been there, but we are not acknowledged because we cannot see. So it's the same. I was writing also about these distractors in our life that cannot allow us to see clearly. And some distractors are by our own self construction. Okay, for example, if you dedicate time too much to cell phones, to I don't know, to whatever television, and the plus at the end, it takes you a lot of time, distracts as job, as money, whatever. Uh, so that all these distractors doesn't really allow you to see clearly, and that's how the light of the creator show us the real meaning of life.
Right.
And the meaning of life really for me is to enjoy this life, to have a full life.
Right.
Okay, and this is about not only spiritual, because we are not only a spirit, we are also have a body. And so God really wants that we really enjoy the life with our body, with our senses, and also with our spirit. So
Yes, and that's going to look different for everybody. Like the things that would bring joy to you may not bring joy to me. So we have to find out what brings each of us joy, and the detractors could also even be our own insecurities, the things that don't allow us. Like this week, I went with Miriam and this young man Mark. I did a show at the mountain to sing for a group of elderly there. And I had so many detractors from allowing me to just enjoy doing the performance, just to be there with the people. And thank God, over the years, I've been able to, like Miriam didn't even notice the things that were bothering me about it. But those were detractors for me to just be able to enjoy what I was doing. And so we have a lot of challenges in this world.
Peggy, the truth, sorry for interrupting. But the truth is that these detractors are in every field
Relate.
of our world. We have it in the science field. We have
Yes.
it in the medical field. We have everything. So, but one thing that is true, and the Bible says that. I mean, the Torah clearly says that we are not alone. We have angels.
Yes.
So, and you know, it's obvious that we are not alone.
Yes.
Okay, and that the I want to tell you, Mauricio, it has begun. The discovery of another
Galaxy.
galaxy systems of exoplanet that they call it, where it could be life. Okay, the scientists know that this is possible, and there is, but no, the problem has been is that the news will not push this because it will affect completely our religious system, which tell us that Earth is the only living planet in the entire multi-universe. Now, I'm going to tell you that further, if you look back in the past, the Catholic Church believed that the world was finishing in Spain, where there is a city called Finisterre. They call it the head of Finisterre. It's just the end. The Romans called that was the end of the world. There was nothing else.
Ha.
Also believe that our planet was flat, or it was not round. But it took science, and it took men with valor and with men who believe that there was something else, men who will search for truth. This is the only thing that God needs to, men who really love him, by the way, and love his neighbor and wants the best for our humanity, our entire human race. And they discovered that the earth was not, but the church killed so many people because they wanted to maintain this religious control of absolute power of everything, absolute power of the way how you think, the way how you cannot express, you have to follow the same. So to the point that it undermines our free will that the Creator gave us. And when that happens, you know that somebody is blocking you from the truth. And anything that does that, you know that it doesn't come from God, but it comes from not from God, right? So as you can see, Mauricio, this is happening right now. I have been following the science news, and I'm a very, very, very true seeker. I mean, I like, if this is a truth, Creator, let it bring it to us. We need that. We need to transform. We need to elevate ourselves, and with this light, with this knowledge, with your creation, and be part of it, and protect it, and be participant. It's all about.
Yes.
I'm getting excited. So
Yeah, it's good. Get excited. It's good.
But I kind of understand. Like, I remember when I was in Japan visiting my sister, and there was this little like tiki bar. It was so it was really magical, like a bamboo, and Mount Fuji was far out, like in the distance, and the people who owned this little, it was right on the beach. That there was this little Yorkshire Terrier that was just on the counter there. It was like very informal, and it's not my type of dog. It was small and skinny, and I remember just looking at it, and I looked at my sister and I said, "Look at this! Like, it's not my type of dog, but it's just, I called it like dog matter. Like it was dog matter, like with matter with dog. A dog, God would made this little dog, and the dog didn't create itself. It just made me feel closer to this little dog, which was just a little scruffy, little skinny dog, and I got such a sense. That's why I called it dog matter, So now we joke in my family like about dog matter and different thing, bird matter,
flower flesh.
flower flesh and dog
Exactly.
flesh. But it's just magical.
Yes, Brian, you wanted to say something?
If we're the third planet from the sun out there with the stars, if you want to find life, they have to be in the same position as we are, third planet from the sun. If the stars out there, that's a sun, and there have to be the third planet from the so-called sun in order to have life, because this anything closer is no good, anything farther is no good. So there's no life on Mars, but we're going to find life. That's ridiculous.
But maybe they have entire galaxies that are just like ours that we don't know because it's so vast. And what if God has created
They have,
several galaxies and give different groups that all the Torah, and he's watching to see which one does the best job with the Torah? Who knows? We don't know. All we know is
You know, Peggy,
yeah.
science and spirituality, they go together.
Yes.
The
of course.
creator, clear example that he created everything with science and with knowledge and understanding. So now when we see this separation, oh yeah, you can only know about the religious laws and the religious thing, but you cannot allow. Why? Because there are certain laws that they put in place that once that you confront them with the science, they don't make sense. What we are following this when it's not. So now the fall of the religious systems, we are going to witness the fall of entire religious systems on this planet. When the day happens, when it will be revealed to all of us, everyone will see it. Remember that in the scriptures we see about, we read about in the end of times, that supposed second coming, or the Messiah will come, and this is all figurative teachings of the revelation of the world above us that has been hidden for so long time, but has been in the same parallel, in the same, maybe not in the capacity of us to see it with our own material, with our eyes, but to be able to reach levels where we will be able to see all that. And
we
that
will.
is coming. We
will one day.
We are so blessed. We're so blessed living in these times.
I know.
If you understood what I'm trying to, what I said is.
on my right shoulder, it's on my left shoulder.
Yes. Sarai, hay algunas cosas a decir. Sarai.
Y muchas gracias. Thank you, Peggy. Y a Mauricio también. Gracias. Siempre buena la información y nos enfoca a nuestra vida a mejorarla. ¿Me podrían ayudar?
No, gracias.
Ángel, por favor, o Mauricio, a traducir.
She just said, thank you, Mauricio, for the great message. What else did she say? I don't remember.
That this kind of message helped her to improve in her life.
Good. Good. Do we have anything else we want to add before we say goodbye for the day? Holly, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I don't have anything, but it was nice to see everybody.
Thanks
everyone.
And nice to see you too.
Just nice to see you.
You know that we're with you. We love you. And how is it out there today? Is it nice weather? Everybody's outside?
Actually kind of overcast, but it's been really, really hot and dry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a swimming pool or a place nearby that the kids can swim, a lake, a river?
We have a creek that we walk to, but this time of year it gets kind of warm and low.
Right.
We went to the pool yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. We haven't been to the pool once this year yet. Last year we were there all the time. Not once. Maybe because I've gained too much weight. I don't want to get into a bathing suit.
And who is the artist that made all the paintings?
Yeah, you have pictures behind you.
Yeah, that was mostly Caitlin, but I think they're just coloring sheets. She drew some of them.
Okay.
There's a show called Bluey. It's actually from Disney, which I find surprising because I don't like Disney typically, but
yeah,
this show is just the sweetest little thing. It's this little Australian family of dogs, and the parents are just so kind and fun and gentle, and it's really a nice show. We really like it a lot.
Just like all the Ashkenazi families I know. Wow. So are all the kids going into school?
Everybody except for Owen. Owen does not want to go, and I wrote out his new schedule for him, and it made it really hard, and he still said he would rather stay home.
Okay. Okay. So you're going to have now at home, you'll have Isaac and Reuben.
No, Ruben will be in grade 1,
Oh, okay.
and Isaac will go to preschool 3 mornings a week,
Okay.
and then Owen will be home. Owen's going to work once a week for Matthew for free because it's work experience. He won't get paid. I think it's
Okay.
fair.
That's great.
Yeah, hopefully
Oh,
it's great. I
well,
don't know.
these will be new challenges because when you see what they're teaching there, you'll be able, it's in a way it's really good because
Yeah.
that'll open up a lot of conversations because we have to be in the world but not of it.
Yeah.
And so this will give them the opportunity to see that.
Not only that, it'll give him the opportunity, which takes a lot of courage to, he's going to be a lot of against the grain things that he believes. Like, he might be a struggle. It's going to help him grow, as painful as it could be, not to be always part of the gang. I don't know what school are you, well, maybe it won't be, is it a regular school that he'll be going
Yeah,
to?
it's just a public school. So the boys like Micah and Down are going to just like a nice little country school. But I
Okay.
mean, it's still a public school. Like,
Yeah,
they
okay.
still are teaching things that I don't necessarily agree with. And
Yeah.
then Caitlin will go to the high school, and it's a big high school. And there's a family here I know of, and their daughter goes there. And
Okay.
they're like Christian Torah people. And I don't know if Caitlin really clicks with their daughter. They're in the same grade. So I hope that they can become friends. That would be nice. But Caitlin's just so different than her. So we'll see. And that's one thing I fear is, what foundation have I given my kids? What tools are they equipped with going into this environment? Because I don't feel like I've done a good job of being intentional and kind of setting their foundation. Caitlin went to this Christian ladies' night the other night with her friend and mom. They invited me, and I was like, no, I'm not going. And she came home, and she was kind of like shaking, and she's like, oh, I just want to like get this Christian stuff off of me, put on some music for me. And I was surprised by that because I thought, wow, I haven't even done a good job of establishing that in our home. And yet she still was like, put on the Jewish tunes, Mom.
That's so cute. Oh my goodness. Well, Holly, just let me tell you, whatever you did a better job than me. So just know that.
And we're our own worst
Yeah,
critics.
critics.
So really, and that's not just a cliche, it's really true.
Yeah, the 10 Commandments. If they know the 10 Commandments, they have the foundation for every decision they're ever going to make. And that's really what you can sit down and go over with them. It's at least they're still under your roof and you can talk about it. But and as long as she can come and talk to you about the things that are happening there, if she has an open, like I couldn't talk to my parents.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing.
Yeah.
I was listening to this teacher. She wrote on our Quebec homeschool Facebook group for the Anglophones, and she wrote that there was some crazy high percentage of parents thinking they were failing their kids at homeschooling because they didn't do this or they didn't do that. And I think it ties over to choice making as well. We just feel like, oh, we might have failed here. We didn't do this enough. And I think every mom feels like they're failing somewhere, like they're not enough or not doing enough. And I don't know, I feel like your kids are just the most amazing humans, and choice making is really all we get to give them. Personalities are a totally different story because we can't change that or give it or take away from it because they're born with those. I mean, we can teach them choices, and that's it. That's
Exactly.
all. Like,
But
They
isn't
go-
that what the Torah is all about? Look at the choices that the people in the Torah all made. They all made wrong, terrible choices. You know, when you look at the blessings that Jacob gave his sons, some of them were curses. I mean, really, they all failed. We fail, but we can begin again. We have a God of beginning again, and it's it's okay. It's all okay. They're gonna be fine.
The truth is, Peggy and Holly, is that we have the responsibility to guide them, but it's up to them to learn and to teach. It's up to their responsibility to decide and to grow, and they have to do it by themselves. We cannot make them learn. It's up to them to, so we can create like a desire and a love for them to learn and to understand things and why we do the things, and to be able to think about what is this gonna do in my life. Is it gonna lead me to a path of goodness, or it's gonna lead me to a path where I'm not, it's gonna keep me still insecure, and not going anywhere, a state of doubt. And no, but if you choose the one that they think, and that they, they're gonna help them, and they're gonna be developing their personality, because this is always positive. It's part of the growth of each one.
I sent Eli to go to work, and he was working with those other children. He didn't get along with any of them. None. He only he asked to only go back to work if there was only the adults there, and he did amazing, and he worked great. And because he was very serious when he was at work, it wasn't like joking fun. He wasn't going to take it, he was very serious about it. And when he went back to work with adults, it was fine. But I did think, well, like, what other kids are out there that he could get along with because he's so serious about things? Or and I just believe, like, God will take care of that part. I can't take care of all of that. So he's got some good choice making skills, at least. I can take
Yeah.
from it. Might not be super social, but he gets along with all the age groups. He gets along with the little kids and the older kids, just not the nowadays non-believing teenagers, which is good.
Yeah, we're not. I remember one of the first jobs that I got after I came back home. My boss said to me, "Do not be afraid to make mistakes. Life is about making mistakes, and we learn from them." And I mean, I'm happier today with who I am than I ever was, and in spite of all the mistakes that my parents made. So, yeah, with God, we
Yeah, remember what Rabbi used to say, that it's better, I think it was from his dad, that he used to say, Rabbi Percy,
better
that
to
it's
learn from the mistakes of others.
better than to learn from your own mistakes, because it's more painful.
That's
Right?
for sure. That's for sure.
But usually we only really learn from our own mistakes.
Exactly.
We have to experience them.
Well, but depends of how big headache we are. How they call it, cabezones, in
Yeah.
Spanish.
Stiff-necked,
If we
hard-headed.
hard-headed. If we keep in this state of hard-headed, we're gonna fall once and twice and 3 times and 4 times, the same. We're gonna trip in the same rock, and we won't go anywhere. We will just stay in a loop, without doing anything.
Except if you look at a child learning to walk, how many times do they fall down until they finally get up and learn to walk? That's part of life.
And yeah,
Some are faster than others.
and yeah, but of course you cannot ask a little taller to start running and sprint. You need to sprint. No, it takes a process. It takes a time.
Exactly.
And that will take years.
Yeah. So let's not worry about not being perfect, because we're not. Miriam will often say to me when I was struggling with some part of myself, she says, "Who do you think you are?" Really, who do I think I am? Perfect? Nobody's perfect. We just do the best.
Well, for me, is God has given us the kids we need to grow, and God has given the parents we are to our kids, because that is what they need to grow. So don't worry if you are good or not good. It's just that you need to know that you have a purpose, that God has given you these kids to raise them up, and you are the one that they need. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I sometimes wondered, how I got born in the family that I did, because every single one of them are so sensitive and so easily, what's the word, offended. And I have a mouth that easily offends. So I was put into this family to learn how not to be offensive. Last night I was watching Robin Williams I don't know if you ever heard of him, but they had a picture of him and there was a tape over it with danger. And whenever he would speak something that was going to be getting him into trouble, the guy would take the picture out, danger. And how many times Rabbi Percy would tell me, think 10 times before you say something. Let's count to 10 before it comes out of your mouth. We all have our gifts. We all have our things. That's part of our egos. And we have to learn that we're all part of a beautiful bouquet of flowers of all different types. Holly, you're doing great. Whatever you're doing, don't worry about it. You're going to make loads of mistakes. And that'll help us all to grow. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of the incidences that are going to happen in school this year. You have to learn to develop a sense of humor and be there. Just be there so that they can come to you. Because it'll be a challenge for you, and we'll keep you in prayer. So everybody, thank you all for being here today. Etid, you speak too much, You talk too much. I have to tell you when to be quiet. We need to keep Etid's father in prayer. Her father is in the hospital right now. And we need to pray that God would reveal himself and be merciful to him. And Sarai, say hi to Priscilla. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Angel, thank you for your input. Mauricio, it was a beautiful message.
Yes, thank you, Mauricio.
Baruch, it was good to see you. And Holly, really good to see you. Mildred, good to see you there, that you're there with us. And Miriam, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of this day of Shabbat. And God willing, we'll see you again next week. Have a great week.
Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Mauricio.
Shabbat shalom.